Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today we are discussing Top Gun Maverick. We'll laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just movies.
Welcome to the spoiler zone.
Oh, shit.
Sorry, guys. Okay, we got there.
We're the show that recently earned a 4-star rating with the comment holding out the 5th star till you guys do the Iron Giant.
Okay. Whew. If I was going to say something about me being a hater,
They did say something about you. They said, other than that, great podcast. Riley, 10 out of 10 Gandalf impression.
Hey!
Do you have a pretty good Gandalf?
Love you, buddy.
Do it now. Do it on the spot.
Fly, you fools!
Yeah, not bad. All right. 10 out of 10. Next week, we're going to do Star Wars episodes 1 to 3 in a fan edit. It's called Star Wars 1 to 3, The Chosen One. It's all 3 movies combined into one only 3-hour movie.
Because we've done episode 1 and 2.
Yes.
And now we're about to watch yet another Star Wars prequel, and we're like, do we want to do this?
We're too bored of
Let's
them.
make it more interesting.
And if you are like upset that we're not going to do episode 3 on its own, we've all seen it a bunch.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
And don't worry, guys. Just because this isn't an official movie doesn't mean it's going to be hard for you to get. It's on Vimeo, and we'll have it linked when we post that video.
Bam.
Yeah.
You should all be able to watch it easily.
We'll tweet it, too.
Nice.
We'll do it all. But today, we're doing Top Gun Maverick. And isn't it weird that the word Maverick is spelled like Maverick?
Instead of what?
Why is there an extra E in there? The R could come right after the V. Anyways.
Maverick.
What are you giving this movie out of 10, David?
Maverick.
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 But you just say it's different. It's
English
different.
is weird. I like it like this.
Maverick.
I don't want it to be Maverick.
It is Maverick.
No, it would be... well, you're right. But I don't want it to be Maverick. Go ahead, David.
Top Gun Maverick is exactly what a summer blockbuster needs to be. 8 out of 10. Simple.
Wow.
It's great.
8.
It's one of those movies that came out. I was pumped, man. And I was like excited to see it, but I wasn't like, this is gonna be great. The first one isn't that special to me. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a cheesy, campy 80s movie. This one's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's a thrilling movie.
I gotta agree. I was like, first when I saw this trailer, I was like, no. And then I watched last weekend the first one, and I started getting all into the behind the scenes, like all the actors were pulling G's. This is gonna be so. I was hyped for this movie, but it's not my turn, David.
So you know behind the scenes stuff? That's good.
A little bit.
I mean, Riley.
Top Gun Maverick depicts skilled pilots executing daring aerial maneuvers like inverting their planes to dive into dangerous territory, which is appropriate because this is the movie equivalent of inverting a can of spray cheese to dispense it directly into your mouth. Delicious. 7 out of 10.
Yep.
I like the movie. I think it's like, there's a lot to enjoy. There's a lot that I feel like would be missing from something that I would give a higher score to, but I had a great time. Fighter jets are cool. I haven't seen the first one, so we can talk about that, but go ahead, James.
I've noticed a trend where we all have slogans after our slogans now.
Yeah.
Well, I have to explain this.
Well, they're called slogans.
Ah, true.
We could get rid of it.
Here I go. The movie is pretty cheesy, boring, and pretty much sucks, earning it a rating of about 6 from me. Until the last half hour. Holy shit, that was dope.
So sad.
Overall 7.
Sure.
Interesting. You thought you were bored.
I was in the theater like, this sucks.
There was
and then it was so sick. It was into 8 and 9 territories for the last bit.
I feel like I feel that for some parts of the movie.
Yeah, if you have to choose, that's how you want it to go. You don't want the beginning to be sick and people to walk out like, it doesn't matter.
Well, that definitely wasn't that.
The ending has to be good, and it was.
Excited to hear what you have to say then.
Me too. After
this message from Secret Lab, who sponsored today's video. Secret Lab chairs, which I'm sitting in, well, just one, are engineered to keep you comfortable for long hours at work and play. Their Titan Evo 2022 series chair offers 4-way lumbar support, comes with a magnetic memory foam head pillow, and is offered in different upholsteries like hybrid leatherette, soft weave fabric, and Napa leather, the official leather of Top Gun Academy. With up to 5-year extended warranty and a 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. So learn more at Secret Lab. Damn it, I always do this. So learn more about Secret Lab at lmg.gg/secretlabtjm. We're also brought to you by Storyblocks. Thanks, Storyblocks. You ever needed a quick clip for a video but didn't have the capacity to make yourself? Well, Storyblocks helps you bring your stories to life without sacrificing due to time or budget or resource or because you don't feel like it that day. There are over 1 million royalty-free assets for you to choose from, including 4K and HD footage. There's Adobe templates, there's music, there's images, and a wide array of diverse and inclusive content.
Wow.
There's pictures of billionaires, non-billionaires. There are subscriptions for every budget, so you can choose the plan that works for you. From their unlimited all-access plan that gives you unlimited video and audio downloads to enterprise licensing, so your entire company has access to the assets you need when you need them. We use Storyblocks here at Alliance Tech Tips. We don't always have time to go go out and get the perfect shot. But we don't need to. We're Storyblocks. So take your videos to the next level by checking out Storyblocks today at storyblocks.com/TJM.
Not many people know that most of the people that you see in stock photos are just billionaires.
Elon's sons.
They're secret millionaires.
They're passion projects.
Yeah.
These stock photo shoots.
They're the ones you don't know about.
All right, Riley, hit us up with what happened in this movie.
Over 30 years after Top Gun, Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell has avoided promotion so he could continue flying as a Navy test pilot. When he destroys a prototype jet by taking it above Mach 10 in a failed attempt to save his test program, Maverick is reassigned by his old friend Admiral Tom Iceman Kazansky to be a Top Gun instructor, overseen by Vice Admiral Bo Cyclone Simpson. His task: train an elite group of F-18 pilots for an urgent, high-risk mission, bombing a uranium enrichment facility somewhere. It's in Mordor or something.
I like the vague enemies in this.
It's unclear whether the mission is humanly possible, but to further complicate things, one of the pilots in the program is the son of Maverick's late best friend, Goose, Lieutenant Bradley Rooster Bradshaw.
Another foul name, you'll notice.
Who resents Maverick for blocking his application to the Naval Academy and setting back his career. Throughout their training, the cautious Rooster clashes with Maverick and his cocky rival, Hangman. That's Rooster's rival. But Maverick reunites with and receives guidance from his former girlfriend, Penny Benjamin, and Iceman, who is suffering from throat cancer. The team finally begins to bond, but when Iceman dies days later, Cyclone fires Maverick and takes over the training, changing the mission parameters to be more feasible but less survivable. So Maverick steals an F-18 and completes the simulated course using his own mission parameters, demonstrating that it can be done. Cyclone reluctantly appoints Maverick to fly as strike team lead, and he chooses Rooster to pilot one of the other three fighters. The team completes their mission, but are attacked by missiles as they escape, and Maverick sacrifices his jet to save Rooster and ejects. The remaining flighters return to the aircraft carrier, but Rooster turns back and saves Maverick.
He's no chicken.
From an enemy helicopter before being shot down himself. Reuniting on the ground, the two men steal an enemy F-14, but just as they're about to be shot down, the pursuing enemy Su-57 is destroyed by Hangman, the mission's backup pilot. Later, Maverick and Rooster are seen working together on a P-51 Mustang, which Maverick uses to take Penny for a joyride. Ooh, it's all American, baby.
Penny didn't have to be in this movie at all.
He needed a person to talk about his feelings with.
Right.
You can't have men talk about their feelings to other men.
You needed someone to be like, yeah, maybe you should let go and just trust him. That's basically the whole thing.
I thought that was interesting because I haven't seen the first one, and so I went and looked up and was like, was Jennifer Connelly
Nope.
in the first one?
That character does not exist in the first one.
Right, but he has a love interest.
In the first one, yeah.
And it's a very similar situation.
And I thought it was very interesting that they almost wrote it to make it seem like if you didn't know that she was in the previous one, like they have this history. And like, because I was like, I don't remember her being in it, but I'm like, but it's so clearly they
have history.
Yeah.
It's just in the intervening years. That's opening up the Maverick extended universe.
Yeah, they're both veterans of Hollywood. That's how it felt.
The TGCU.
Yeah. So you guys have seen the first Top Gun.
Have you ever, just to dwell there for a second, have you ever seen two 50-year-olds you wanted to see bang as bad as those two?
We need to go back to the first part of that question because that doesn't exist, really?
Two 50-year-olds?
Are there two 50-year-olds that I can think of that I would want to see bang?
Oh, I can think of several.
I'm just saying Jennifer Connelly and
Tom Cruise.
Well, Tom Cruise is icky, but
they're both looking
60,
pretty nice
isn't
for
he?
their
if you didn't
age.
know who he was, you'd be like, that guy's hot. But then
Right.
you know about who he is.
How old is Tom Cruise?
60 something, I think.
Because it's
60.
It's actually crazy because he doesn't even look like that much older than he looks in like
59.
the old photos in this movie.
He's 43. Because yeah, you're right though. Because I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I saw Tom Cruise looking a little saggy and old when I was in high school.
Right.
Like in Mission Impossible 4, I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, he's a little older now.
Yeah, but he stayed that age.
He has not
He's got
declined.
great work. They've mastered
job.
plastic
He must
surgery.
have French
job,
kissed Keanu
surgeon.
Reeves or something.
Yeah.
This guy's time traveling.
sucked some of his age, of
This
his youth.
started really strong for me because got that 80s style montage of Welcome to the Danger Zone.
I love that shit.
Yeah, with like the plane taking off and like the people being like, go, go, go.
Okay, so
It's not even 80s style. It is Top Gun style.
Yeah.
It's the same opening song, the same song. It's the same kind of golden hour color hue. It's all orange. And it's, for a while, I was wondering if it was shot for shot. I haven't verified it, but it's really similar.
Really similar,
And it
right?
kind of comes full circle to when the credits roll at the end and it says, you know, it's like a love letter to Tony Scott in memory of Tony Scott, the director of the first movie, who is now dead.
Right.
It's like that opening was really just here you go, Tony, just like you had it.
I mean, okay, so as someone who hasn't seen the first Top Gun, during that whole sequence, I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I feel like I kind of appreciated it because I'm like, this feels very much like an 80s movie. Like, I feel like I'm watching a movie not from this era. But at the same time, it kept going. And I'm like, I wrote overly nostalgic intro montage for why?
Yeah, well, that's
like,
why.
What's the point here? Other than to just be like, signal to the people who've seen the first one. It's like, remember the first one?
I don't know. To me, I think on its own it's cool because it's like, it's jets, man. And like the movie does a good job introducing you to jets. I think it does a masterful job making jets fucking awesome.
I wish that line was in the movie.
Well, this is the thing.
It's jets, man.
In the first movie, David was right. You guys are both right. In the first movie, it's jets, man, and these are fucking real, and these are real people with real jobs in a real setting, and it's badass.
Yeah.
And then Riley's right because that was the first movie. Yeah. This is the second movie, and it's just nostalgia bait, but I'm here for it. For some reason, it just works for me. Yeah. And another reason that it feels weird and like you're watching an 80s movie is because it's 2 songs for one sequence. They're doing like that kind of the theme. It's all gravitas, like, hey, what we do is important and kind of is inspiring. And then that song ends in da-da-da-da. It's Highway to the Danger Zone. Suddenly you're like, you know what we do is pretty fucking cool. Do you know what you say?
We're not just soldiers, we're rock stars.
I think why it also worked for me is that it's to serve the dual purpose of explaining how jets take off from carriers. And I was like, that's cool, like the little catch things, little launch things.
I think it was more expository in this one. I don't think it's shot for shot. In the first one, I don't think they really show it as clearly. Like, yeah, that little donkey dick's gonna come down and catch him.
It's so cool. I know.
He's coming in, the landing gear busted. He's like, I got no donkey dick, guys.
I'm cirked. I'm cirked.
I'm flying raw.
Pull up or pull out, mister. This is gonna be a funny episode, guys.
Sorry?
No, I think that I was just hyped. I was hyped by the jets almost immediately.
I just want to make clear that, like, okay, I'm identifying these like super cheesy elements of this movie, and I know that they're there, but at the same time, I'm a red-blooded male, and I see cool fighter jets and I get stoked.
Oh, totally.
Like,
look at those engines.
As this movie goes on, I'm like simultaneously kind of cringing at like the awkwardness and cheesiness of some of the scenes. But then there's a scene where they're pulling off like sick maneuvers, and I'm like, hell yeah! Like I think at some point I was like, oh hell yeah! In the theater, I saw this movie by myself.
We had some clappers. We had some clappers in our theater, and they were justified clappers.
Well, I don't even want to talk about the action yet because that's going to be, I think, the best part.
Let's just keep going through it like bit by bit because it does kind of a hard left turn, or what is that called in the aerial world? A roll, a bank, some yaw.
Yeah, roll.
Yaw is not a
pitches up.
Yaw is like a slow left turn.
We're taxiing left.
We're talking about a bank.
Roll left. Yeah.
Anyways, it goes to what Maverick's doing now. And I thought it was a little cheesy when he had like, here's my locker and my mirror that are adorned with so many pictures of this one experience I had in my life with this Goose guy.
It's a little over the top.
But you kind of go into the inciting action of the movie. It's like, okay, Maverick, he's still Maverick. He's still saying, screw you to the higher ups and testing this cool future jet, which is cool, with no windshield in the middle that you can see through. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
The cockpit, the windows are only on the sides. When he's looking straight ahead, it's just instrument panel and like
that's modern jets.
And a wall.
You don't even need. You just look at your instrumentation.
I like that whole sequence is a really clear indicator of exactly where he is. He's the same, but you as an audience I found him justified in doing what he's doing, where he's putting everything on the line to save this whole program, to save these people's jobs, to do all those things. And it doesn't feel like it's a selfish ego thing. It felt like, oh, it's like he's doing it for the greater good until it becomes an ego thing. And I think that's such a good, like, this is exactly where Maverick is very efficiently.
That is cool because he clarified, I'm doing this for the people who are not going to be out of the job when this program closes. So that was cool, and that's a continuation of where we left him with them for the first one. Because the first one's all about these 2 people, Iceman and Maverick, who want to be top of the Top Gun class. And ultimately, Maverick is the wingman. He ultimately he comes in second place and he saves Iceman, and then that's the whole thing at the end that they show photos of in this movie where they're like grabbing hands. You can be my wingman anytime.
In my head,
he's happy and fulfilled being second.
In my head, I remember the line as, "You can ride my tail anytime." which is a way better line.
You can give me a reach around anytime.
You can spread my butt cheeks and tongue. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I liked that opening sequence because it's cool. Apparently that was an option for the entire movie was going to be about that like stealth bomber. It was going to be kind of like that angle. But I think it's a thrilling little intro to show you like the speed and like the practical effects they do.
Yeah.
That shot of it taking off and Ed Harris like getting blasted by like the shockwave and like the roof of the building come up. Phenomenal. It's like, so cool.
Kind of pissed me off though because I was like, how's the roof coming off when this guy's still on his feet? And Ed Harris is like 75.
I think it's because it catches more air.
They're taking creative license.
This guy's ears are gone.
He's lower to the ground as well.
His head is a thumb now.
I saw a couple shots of like when they were shooting the movie, the crew, when the jets would fly overhead, and like if it got too close, they would all like have a very human, like a visceral like fear,
right?
Because it'd all be like because it's so loud, so close, and it's so interesting watching the little behind the scene clips of this movie.
But when I saw the roof come up, I was like, wait a second, this must happen all the time. Because they're taking off.
That's the runway.
Was this like a faster takeoff than normal? Like,
yeah, that's hilarious.
I think it's probably
bad design.
It was pretty short, so it probably was like a taxiway or something, and then it's just like made for the shot or something.
That was
wondered
great,
if Ed Harris not getting knocked on his ass there jived with me. It was a bit of a nitpick for me because in the first movie, whenever they're buzzing the tower or anything like that, the higher ups are like spilling coffee on themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, that bastard Maverick! I'll get you.
Yeah.
But he just stands there like a monolith, like.
Which I like as a character thing. It's
well,
a good like.
It is a character.
The army has changed, and he's now coming up against an immovable force.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we are supposed to be kind of scared of him. So this kind of like shows you that like, hey, he's not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
It was cool to have this new jet that is like sharp like a damn knife. You want to see some new stuff. So it was
Dark Star.
I agree with him opening the movie with that.
That's my My Little Pony name.
Dark Star.
Dark Star.
That's cool, Jet.
He gets compelled to go back to Top Gun. At the end of the first movie, he says, they're like, what are you going to do now, Mav? And he says, I think I'll teach because you're allowed to, anyone
You
who
got second
passes,
place. What do you do when you can't do?
Yeah, teach. And anyone who passes Top Gun
teaches Jim.
is invited to teach at Top Gun. So I guess the lore in this movie explains that he did do that for like 3 months or something.
I found that a weird explanation where it's like he only did it for a couple months. I don't know. I don't like when movies change kind of what the arc was so that they can have him do it again.
It really changes how you think about the ending of the first movie.
Yeah.
But to its credit though, I totally dig what you're saying generally, but I didn't feel at the end of the first movie that it was believable that he would teach.
That's fair.
I was like, why would he do that? He loves just like ripping around.
Well, then in that sense, it could be like, oh, we're fixing the first one a little bit.
In a way.
Yeah, I love that first scene because, like, as you said, David, it gives us his character. Like, okay, he's going to try to help people, but optimally, when you help people, it's also in a way that he can show off his amazing skills or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is how he like saves the day basically by like proving that the mission can be done. But it's also it's like a contrast between this like cool new plane that we see, and then where do we go from there? No, we can't use the new F-35s or the F-22s. We have to use the old F-18s.
Which is smart.
Which is funny because I thought, not seeing the first movie, that, oh, okay, did they fly F-18s in the first one? But no, they were flying F-14s in that one.
Why do they have to use 18s in this one?
It's because there's like a GPS jammer that'll basically make the instruments on the F-35 useless.
Okay.
I don't know if that's real, but that's the excuse.
Okay, I missed that in the movie, and I'm like, throughout, I was like, why are they flying F-18s? Because I'm like, the F-22 exists.
So, do you guys think in like the meta, is that because they couldn't get access to the newer planes?
It might be because the F-35s are so expensive.
And they suck?
It might also be because I think...
Well, apparently, there's all sorts of issues with the F-35 program.
Oh, okay. That's possible.
I know in the first movie, in order to make the movie they wanted to make, they needed to get cooperation from the Navy.
They got it for this one too.
So, but that means there's a limit to that, right? So they may have asked.
Well, I think the F-35, you need like an AR helmet and shit. Like it's really much more sci-fi in advance.
Yeah, Oculus Quest at least.
I think there's something more primal about this kind of jet where like we've seen it in movies, we kind of understand, and like it's like there's still a human operating things, whereas an F-35, it's really like a an advanced machine.
Yeah, it
with
does-
a human
it does-
kind of doing some stuff.
It adds to the vibe of like, okay, we're back home. We're back home in this like nostalgic place with the Top Gun people and the ace pilots, and like it's not the hardware, it's the pilot. And I feel like we've had some movies. For some reason, I'm thinking about Stealth, the movie about the AI stealth fighter.
That movie was more popular than people let on.
Right. Well, I remember it obviously, but
I worked in the movie theater when that was coming out. I never saw it for some reason, but I remember
I didn't see it either.
at the theater for like a long time, and people kept coming, and they seemed to like it.
Yeah, but I think it like that when you watch a movie like that, it's showing this like cool new technology, and I feel like we've seen so many movies depict like advanced AI technology, and it's like it's going rogue, it's not working. It's like I feel like they just by using F-18s, they just kind of took the machinery out of it. It's not about the planes.
Well, and
it's about the pilots.
I like what they do with the stakes too, where it's like, well, like there's all these different obstacles they're going to come up against on the final run. And the big one is they're going to go against these 5th generation fighters, these Su-57s or whatever, that are way more advanced. And like an F-18 versus a 5th generation fighter, that's a real uneven matchup. And then at the last minute of the movie, is like, oh, you thought it was going to be F-18s? No, F-14s.
Yeah,
and it's like this.
Let's get to that. Let's get to that later, though.
You're right.
That is awesome. But how about the cast, the squad, the rest of the people?
The people I saw the movie with, as soon as we finished, they're like, that was the hottest movie I've seen in a long time. And I was like, yep.
It's a lot of attractive,
it's a hot squad.
Lot of very attractive people in there. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole volleyball scene in the first one. Is like just to show off the actors' hotness.
I was pissed off at that scene because I was like, what are we doing
The football
here?
scene.
Yes, because I was like, okay, I know that there was the volleyball scene in the first one, and now we have to have another scene just like it in this one. I was like, what is the point of this? But then they kind of worked it into the plot, where the guy's like, what the hell are you doing over here? Like, this is frivolous not only to the program but to the plot of this movie. And then Maverick's like, hey, this is team building. You said to build a team. I'm like, okay, all right, I forgive you a little bit.
I have a hot take that might get me canceled about that scene, though, which is the whole point of it is to, I guess, sexualize the people and show off their muscles and stuff. And if you're not going to get actually aroused by these men, if let's say you're a heterosexual dude watching this, at least it's aspirational then. I want to be like them.
Right.
My beef is in a world focusing on equality, they did not sexualize the one woman enough.
Oh my gosh.
She's like wearing so many clothes, and I'm not saying we needed to sexualize her.
Wait, what do you mean? What is she...
Show me those toned shoulders.
What are you? What? She was wearing a sports bra.
There's like no shots of her. Everyone else is half naked.
There's only like 2 or 3 women in there at all.
But I mean, I hear what you're saying. This movie is.
It's only the men are like only the men are more oiled up and shit. I'm like, what the hell?
I think it's just
you really want something. I was like, I want something.
Come on, at least Olympic level outfit.
It's because the movie has to exist in that sweet spot of like appealing to everyone, and so it has to be like. Not
except for creeps like me.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it's kind of funny. I feel like, you could make statements about the sexualization of women and the objectification of women being a problem in like Hollywood and video games and all these things. But it's funny that when we get this type of sexualization of men, like it doesn't seem to bother people at all. It's like no one's writing article is about how this is a problematic objectification of the male body or whatever.
I think it's because the systemic problem of objectifying men is like
it's not a problem, right? But I don't know. This is a stupid thing. I'm not gonna like die on this hill. I just kind of think like if you're gonna make it like a sizzle reel where everyone's looking hot, then treat everyone equally, oil them all up, make them all look hot, give them all a slow motion shot. And I'm not saying it has to be all about let me finish, please.
No,
I'm not saying it has to be. Sexualize this woman in a way that we traditionally have done so. It doesn't have to be about like boobs and butts. It could be about her like awesome toned shoulders because she can do a fuck ton of chin ups. But like, give the devil its due.
I feel like
I'm the devil.
I feel like the scene didn't try extra hard to sexualize the men. Like I feel like I don't see this imbalance you're talking about because they were both kind of depicted in the same way. She was just in there with them. Yeah. So it's like in order to have this like equality that you're talking about, we would have to like separate the girl from the rest and like do a close up on her where we don't really get like a close up on any of the guys. Yeah. It's just all action shots and people are moving around. And
I feel like the sexiest shot, like there's a couple of like one hangman like kind of like flexes, stretches up, but it's like
and Miles Teller does like a little dance.
Yeah,
like,
it all makes sense as to like what it is. And
I'd have to look at it shot for shot again. Maybe there's more single person close ups in the first movie.
Well, and
in the first one, there's a lot of like just you.
There's not too much of that. And I think because it's shot so late in the day that's very silhouette-y.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel as like objectifying as I think.
A bunch of them were wearing like pants and stuff,
Yeah,
so it's like I didn't
Like Bob, the nerd one, has a shirt on.
Oh, does he?
Oh, he can't be sexy. He's supposed to be the nerd.
That's right.
But he's Bill Pullman's kid, so
You know he's
sexy.
ripped under there.
Did we ever find
Is
out
that,
what?
yeah,
Bill
I saw that it was
Pullman's
Pullman. I was like, that's somebody's son.
Bill
Pullman.
Who's that?
He's the president in the Alien movie Independence Day.
and the dad and Casper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember that, but he's been in a bunch of
That's
stuff.
That's his.
He was bigger in the
his best
90s.
piece.
Pullman.
So
Give him let's call him
Pullman.
jerk off.
you guys found the first part of the movie, like the second act, kind of boring, hey?
Yeah, it's when they start doing all the kind of. I almost said character work, but that's a kind of generous. It's when they do all the whole like he's going to the bar and they're singing the songs
Oh my
and
gosh.
just all of that kind of stuff.
I didn't think it was boring. I just thought it was like there was just no attempt
cheesy.
to mitigate the cheese in any way. It's just unmitigated
I don't
cheese.
care about these people. I don't know this
What, the
Jennifer
pilots?
Connelly character, and I don't
Oh.
care about her, and I don't know any of these pilots. I don't care about them.
I cared about the
when they-
pilots.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job with the pilots because they don't actually spend that much time on them. But I like that he's getting this view as to like what their real dynamic is, and then even that Hangman's an asshole to him, and like
Yeah.
it'll all come back and stuff. Like I like that bar scene. I think the ringing the bell and everyone cheering it just goes on a little bit too long, but I think I like a lot of what they do in that
When they're
scene.
singing that song, and they're doing the flashbacks of like, there's too many flashbacks. I
Agreed.
thought it was a little heavy-handed there.
Agreed. And then Jennifer Connelly sees him, and then he has another flashback about the same thing, and then he pauses, and then he has another flashback. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a little
see,
bit too
so
much.
this was interesting, like, because again, I haven't seen the movie, so I kind of appreciated those flashbacks because I was like, oh, I'm getting the information that
It's been
I'm
35
presumably-
years.
I'm
Thank you.
presumably missing by not seeing it. So I was like, okay, now I'm fully up to date with what the story is with Goose.
Maybe the choice when you're making this movie is like, these two things exist at once. Some people are gonna like it, some people won't like it as much,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's more beneficial to you than it is detrimental to me.
Yeah.
100%.
So we put it.
Exactly.
I no matter what, I think it needs to be in there. I just think that they dwell in it for a long time. And you see a lot of that scene. And
Yeah.
they do a lot of zoom ins on really grainy footage where you're like, that wasn't shot.
and
but
then like
you,
direct cuts between Goose's, like a picture of Goose and
Oh, yeah.
Rooster, and you're like, I was like, did they have to make him look like exactly like him? Basically,
I like
same
that.
mustache,
I
same.
like that. I just don't like that his name
I
is
don't know.
Rooster. Also, though, it's
It's
like
just always a bit weird to me, I guess, when they're like, when a movie implies that sons are just their dads, like you're just a copy of your dad.
yeah, and his
you
whole
know?
entire existence, he's just wanting to relive
Exactly.
his dad. Yeah.
I'm like, what about identity and like what about being your own person? You know, I don't know.
Well, I don't think they made him so much like he didn't have Goose's characteristics necessarily. Like, Goose,
Did he not?
Well, first of all, he's in the front seat piloting. He's not somebody's
okay.
Rio like
Sure.
he is like Goose was, a term they don't even use in this movie.
WSO.
RIO. It's like radar interceptor
But this
officer.
one is
In this one, it's a
weapon-
WSO.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Weapon specialized operative.
Backseat guy.
Backseat driver.
And you're allowed to say guy because they're all guys.
Except the one.
No, she's not a backseat guy. She's a front seat gal.
Front seat gal.
Anyways,
You're talking about the character.
Yeah. Who?
Sorry, what were we talking about?
I don't know. I'm talking about how like he doesn't have the same like traits necessarily. Like he is his own person. We know that he wants to get this done. He's driving more slowly and carefully, but still fast, so that he can get it done for sure. And like that's characterizing him.
Yeah.
We don't know that Goose would have done it that way necessarily.
Right.
He's almost more like Iceman. Iceman's whole thing was precision, cold calculation, whereas the Maverick's all intuition and just like go
Right.
for it.
Don't think, just do.
Yeah.
Feel
Which
it.
is like,
Don't try.
I just
Yeah.
like, I'm just waiting for the scene in which he's like, don't think, just do. And then the pilot he's telling that to is like, yeah, okay. And then they like
Crash
just,
into a
go,
wall.
yeah, they just like die. He's like, oh, I guess I can't tell everyone that.
There's a couple times where I imagined that happening in this movie where it's like, do this, and like, yeah, and then they just right into a mountain.
If this movie was like a deconstruction of the Top Gun franchise, then that's what would happen.
Well,
But
we also have to consider that they've already graduated from Top Gun. So don't
Yeah.
think, just do, with all the training that you already have.
That's
and
fair.
all the expertise you're coming into this with.
yeah, trust your gut.
It was a bit strange to have Maverick like just completely tool them when they're like the best of the best.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's
It was
anything like
good.
gaming, or it's like as soon as you're not 26 anymore,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able
But I
to
guess
beat
with,
these
like-
guys.
No, but I think though, to me, it was because he has more practice on that kind of jet. So they're used to the F-35s and like the really...
No, they're F-18 pilots.
They're F-18 pilots.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were... I
right.
was wrong. In my head, that was the explanation. And so now I have questions.
Well, I mean, you also can't just be generally... Like, there are people who are just prodigies, and they're better than everyone who comes later for the next 20 years.
I guess I'm not entirely sure whether they are F-18 pilots specifically. That the Wikipedia said they're F-18 pilots, but maybe they're just...
I think they said that like they had to like downgrade the jets. I would think so. If they're
would
the
make
best of
more
the best,
sense
it
for
doesn't
them
make
to
sense
be-
for them not using the best jets.
But at the same time, there are more
there is
F-18s
there's a line
in
where
service.
they're like, oh, you won't be able to count on what you're used to, kind of thing. So they do talk about it. I'm pretty sure.
I
don't
think
know.
there are more F-18s in service right now
And F-35s.
than
Because they're like...
well, definitely than F-35s, but maybe than F-22s. I'm not sure.
Let's get into the heist.
Yeah, I love the format of this movie, that it's like 80% build up, 20% payoff. Because like normally a heist movie, there's like a bunch of characterization, and then there's like we're gonna do the heist, and then they do the heist for like a third of the movie, and it's sort of like that. But the way they do it is it's all like explanation of the heist and build up and failing and failing and failing and failing, and then maybe a glint of hope, and then failing and failing and failing, and it sets the final mission as so hard, like impossibly hard, so that when you do get there, every twist and turn is so thrilling because you know the stakes are so high and this is impossibly hard. And I loved it. I was so
The thing
into
that's
it.
weird is usually in a TV or movie show, what? Usually they go like this. Okay, here's the plan.
Yeah.
And then everything will occur according to plan. Or they go, okay, here's the plan. And then they
start
sell
showing.
the plan, they say the plan to the audience. But then later when we see the plan enacted, it will not go according to plan.
Yeah.
In this movie, they say, here's the plan, and they tell us, and we see it for an hour. And then when they go to actually do it, there are unexpected changes and twists,
Right.
but they're not that grave. Like, what's the difference? Those two bandits are in the air already?
Yeah, and then
That's it?
For the
They have
actual
to-
mission, yeah, not much has changed. There's a bridge they have to fly through.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
The laser kind of acts up when he has to shoot.
Yeah. I think like having as many missiles as happened was unexpected. I don't think they were expecting that many missiles to chase them,
They knew that.
but they knew there was missiles.
They didn't really talk about that phase of the plan. It's
But
just
here's
like,
the thing that's weird. Is like, even though they broke that kind of rule of cinema, it still was so awesome.
So
was
Is
awesome.
that because of jets?
was-
Is that because of all the like the
I just feel like-
flares that they launch
I
behind
think
them and
it's
stuff?
a few things. I think part of it is that it is jets and it's all practical. And so there's just like a weight and an excitement behind everything because it's like those actors are inside of planes that are really fucking flying. And so it looks
Is that
so
what
cool.
they did?
Yeah. They're in the air with like 6 Venice cameras on the plane pointing at them, and they're like really doing not all the things,
But
but
who's flying?
a pilot.
Not the actor.
No.
Some of them, like Tom Cruise can fly, and he does some of his flying.
Yeah, I'm sure he
but
does.
the actors, I'm pretty sure it's probably like a remote or something. But
was
they're
thinking,
really
like-
in a plane with that happening.
That scene, like where Maverick is like doing the route, and he's like showing him how it's done, and he's like, you know, it's got these like visceral, these visceral shots where he's like, he's getting like thrown around, he's like grunting and stuff. I was just like, damn, this feels real.
It is
It
real.
was.
But like, I think in my mind I was like, but he can't actually be doing it. This course is humanly impossible. And I'm like, wait, he's probably just
He's doing
It's like
something.
one-
he's not
at a
actually
time.
doing the super
Yeah.
hard course.
Yeah,
he's just
so-
acting.
In the first movie, they all had to do a ton of training. They had to do like escape from this thing underwater and stuff just in case there's an accident over top of the ocean. They did even more for this one, and they all pulled a ton of G's. I think up to like 8 G's or something like that. And they were really selling it as to pitch the movie, right? Like, I think Cruise specifically say, you know, you can't act what it looks like to pull G's.
Right.
But then I watched this movie, and I was very stoked on this. And then I watched the movie, and I thought, you could act that.
I don't think you could. I think it's
I'll do it out.
no. It doesn't look right, man.
It's not the right.
The
That
way
looked-
the way the
James, that
skin
did not
pulls,
look good.
because it's not just like I don't know. I think I don't agree with that at all. I think like with the G specifically, when they're doing the climb up at 9, 10 Gs or whatever, the skin pulls down on their face in a way where you're like, that's ugly.
Yeah,
That's gross.
You can see that effect a few times.
And it's the same with like every twist and turn when like they're jerked around. Like, yeah, you could do it like in a VR simulator,
Yeah.
but like it's not the same. Like there's reaction. There's like a little like split second human thing where it's like they're scared.
Yeah.
And like it's so visceral. And I think that's a huge part of why this movie works is it's not fake.
Yeah.
There's fake things, but like it feels so real.
I feel like when you think about flying jets, I think it's easy to like not really think of it as being this like crazy complicated thing. You know, it's just like, okay, you're turning, now you turn this way and then you turn that way and blah, blah, it's not a big deal. But then like, but the way that they depict these people like basically getting jostled around in these because like you realize like this is a vehicle made of steel and metal and whatever, all this stuff. And then inside is this like little flesh bag and it's going like getting knocked around like crazy. It really makes you feel the visceral element of it and it gets you excited.
Yeah.
Even though like they're not doing anything crazy, they're just turning back and forth a lot.
I think it's completely complex and intimidating, man. Like I can't even imagine how smart you'd have to be to think in those 3 dimensions to be like, okay, I'm going to take this maneuver that way. And the game theory is they'll probably do that. And the capability of this jet won't let them do this.
Have you played
and
a
I'm
lot
going to be there.
So like, okay, I don't know.
To not get shot, to not be like, oh shit, he's behind me. Ah,
Man.
Yeah, I feel like I've been in, maybe this is just showing my ignorance, but like I've played a lot of flying games. I've been into flying games, and I feel like that element of it doesn't like really like tickle my brain so much because I'm like, okay, you know, there's dynamics that you want to like, there's maneuvers you want to use to get around people and always circling around. Okay, but like the thing that really blows my mind is like the advanced maneuvers in this thing, like the Cobra thing he does.
Oh yeah.
We're just like, because not every plane can do that. It's like depending on what plane you're flying.
which one's
like,
that?
That's the one where like someone's behind you and you just like instantly pitch up the nose of the plane so that the wind catches you and you get sailed like you
hit the brakes real fast.
You fly behind him and then you come back into it.
So cool.
It's a like
Man.
and that's like you see something like that and you're like, okay, that's not that complicated, but like to actually pull it off, to do all the things that you need to do, like move the throttle and the stick and all this, yeah.
And the amount of energy being exerted on your body just to like, not
the
pass
G's.
out, it's fucking wild. That like every time they're playing in this movie, my heart was pumping. Like that training sequence where he's like schooling them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, if you can shoot me down, then I'll do 200 push-ups. If I shoot you down, you just 200." And then he takes each one of them to school at a time.
Right.
And each way is so fucking cool, man. Each time he takes someone down, you're like, "Oh, that's so sick."
I wish I had seen less of the trailer because I knew he was gonna blast in between them.
Oh yeah. But still, when it happened, I feel like I was still kind of like nice because they're like, "Whoa!" Yeah. Like they didn't expect it,
and that's real, man. They did that. It's crazy.
I don't know how much.
Yeah, did they actually do that? That
seems really dangerous.
They could also cheat that
with probably perspective a little bit. There's only one shot in this movie where I was like, that was CG. When they came out of the bridge. That was like there was one shot where they're turning. I'm like that. It might have not have been CG, but my brain was like, no.
When that helicopter gunship was about to blow him away, and then it just gets eviscerated in flame.
That's
that was
probably CG.
They should have made that practical, man. That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
What do you mean, like actually like blow up a helicopter?
Yeah,
jeez,
that's what Tony Scott would have done.
I mean,
it is. Argue with that. That would have been tough to do. That snow would have all melted. You only got one chance.
Shot. Well, I mean, even just the cost of blowing up a helicopter.
They got that money.
Well, okay, did they blow up the Su-57? Like
no,
that last shot. No,
I don't think
that would be CG.
No, they could have done with a miniature even.
They could do miniatures. I think all the planes blowing up that's CG because it's just too expensive.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Like a Su-57, I don't know how much it costs.
Even on the original one, I saw some footage where they had bigatures of planes. They were like 6 feet wide in front of a green screen. So they do stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's you can't do everything practically, but this movie does enough practically that my brain stopped fighting it and just like it went with it. And it's such a refreshing experience because we're so used to being inundated with computer effects that nothing is that thrilling anymore.
Yeah.
Like until you're at the level of like, I don't know, say an Avatar where like everything is CG and it's like almost like it goes so far that your brain accepts it. It passes the uncanny valley. It's just like I'm so uninterested in CG.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to have a large part of the marketing be about how real it was.
Oh, 100%.
Because if you don't know that and you just assume,
I think particularly for this movie, because I feel like people we hear this all the time for some movies where they're like, oh, we tried to do as practical effects as much as possible, but when that means like, oh, okay, we had a puppet instead of a CGI character. I'm like, okay, you might as well have just made it CGI. I don't care about that. Like when Star Wars is like, oh, instead of having like CGI aliens, we have like everyone's wearing this big mask or something. I'm like, it doesn't look that much better.
I like that stuff because it like makes it all feel more grounded, but it's not nearly as important as in this.
Yeah,
movie.
like
I
that.
don't know, man.
So that kind of thing, it doesn't really. I'm like, oh, you could do either way. It doesn't really matter to me. But this one, like we're saying, you can feel it.
There's a Jurassic Park trailer where like it shows the Jurassic Park logo and then a shadow of a T-Rex comes over the logo and then suddenly an actual T-Rex rips through the paper kind of thing, and it's full CG and it looks not better, maybe worse than the original movie from 91 or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the CG. Yeah,
Yeah, Tom Cruise, man, he might be the best action star of all time. He's certainly
He may
in the
be.
top 10. He just knows, I think he knows, like you said, the meta game of what to sell to make it feel like everything is real.
Right.
Because it's like method acting. It's like how much better is method acting actually making it? But the fact that you know that someone method acted.
Yeah.
Then you're like, wow, that's really
And they hit a cool
authentic.
sweet spot with this one too, because it is, you know, aviators and aviation enthusiasts are going to like it because there's just not that many aviation movies or content out there, especially like Hollywood level. So you're going to like aspects of it, but they still make concessions to make it a good movie. So in the, for example, yeah, they're doing a bunch of maneuvers that are real maneuvers, but you'll never get these planes close enough to each other that they're in one camera shot. They don't do the, none of this stuff happens at those distances. So it's a movie, put them together, or else there's no story. We need to just tell a story with these planes in the air. So you're gonna have to do things that just aren't real. And it's the same thing in the first one. They have a lot of, you know, when they're tailing each other and they're like, I need to get tone, beep, 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 missile lock. Yeah. They're like, yeah, that's not a thing. But that's, but that's how you tell a story in the air.
There was a lot of like talking to themselves. Like there's a couple points when Maverick is like talking to himself, he's like, don't let him get you, Maverick. I'm like, what are you who are you talking to? Like he's just like in the pilot by himself and he's like, okay, yeah, I gotta pull off this turn. It's like, who are you? No one does that. I don't know. I can't imagine a pilot.
Are you a pilot? You think
no, but I can't imagine someone like by themselves and like, okay, don't let him get you. Just remember your training. Like,
that's definitely a movie thing.
I could do that. That could happen to me sometimes.
And then the other thing that kind of struck me as like kind of cheesy and like kind of like, I don't know if we needed this, was Rooster and Maverick when they kind of go into that like death spiral and they're going down and it's like an emotional moment. And they're like, you can pull out anytime, buddy. It's like, oh, I can go as low as you, and that's saying something. It's like, oh boy. Like,
very
like,
80s cheesy.
I groaned. I was like, oh god.
It's cool though, the like actual danger of it, and it's cool because I was like, oh yeah, just like pull out of it. It can't be that hard. But I'm like, oh, you can't though because you're kind of like locked in together.
They're playing chicken.
Yeah, it's
but also like
silly.
when you choose to pull out, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, because if you do it wrong, then you'll clip the other person.
That's what my read of it when I was watching it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a way that could, but I'm sure there's also a way you could pull out of that and not have it be that big of a deal.
Well, your ego's in the way.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're mostly playing chicken there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that character dynamic of Rooster and Maverick? You guys like that little journey they go on?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it worked for me.
I think it was really great that they added in the whole thing about Maverick obstructing his career path and pulling his papers, whatever that means, shredding his application so he couldn't join the Navy. Because if it was just you killed my dad kind of thing, I thought that was lame and contrived and unrealistic.
Totally.
But when they added that in, that was like a personal attack kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that made sense to me because if it was just my dad died while you were flying, like he would have
processed.
He would have, it would have been explained to him in a way that was justifiable. I think he would have gotten over that. Like, it just didn't seem realistic if that was why he was mad at Maverick, but it wasn't. And so that works.
And it works because it's tied to it as well. Because it's like, from his perspective, he thinks that Maverick pulled the papers because he's worried about him. Like he already lost one friend. He doesn't want to lose like a son. And so it kind of works thematically.
And also, didn't he say that actually his mom told him to do that?
Yeah.
Well, that's the real reason Maverick did it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Rooster doesn't know
that. So,
and I love that he didn't, like, that's never actually revealed to Rooster. Because I was like, that's a really good reason not to let him know.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense because he doesn't want Rooster to resent his mom.
Yeah,
either.
exactly. Yeah.
He's still alive. He can deal with it.
And like Penny says, oh, that's a hard decision. I'm like, yeah, it is. Yep. That's a good decision.
Yep. I think the movie does a good job with its limited story and limited dialogue. I think everything it does is fairly efficient.
I wish it was more limited though.
No, that's fair.
Like, I don't need you sneaking through her window at night and her daughter's like, don't break her heart again. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
I like that stuff. I thought it was cute.
This movie could have been 45 minutes.
What do you mean? What does that have to do with anything?
I don't care about his love life.
I think I agree.
It's not integral to his character.
It's characterization for him because he has denied promotion. He's like kind of stuck exactly where he was back, at the end of the first movie, right? He hasn't settled down with anyone. He hasn't accepted promotions. He's still doing the exact same thing he was doing 30 years ago. And so now he comes back and like Penny's like, hey, here's an opportunity for you to kind of like fulfill your promise as something other than just a body in a seat, you know? It's like
Okay, I'll take it.
you can
I'll
do
take it.
something. Yeah.
You changed my view. Thank you.
And because, you know, yeah, he's disappointed people. And now he won't do it anymore. Man, that him texting Iceman was super weird, though. Are we in nitpicks?
No, I don't
No, we
think
have big things to
I
talk
feel
about.
like we're just threading all the nitpicks throughout.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I don't know
Fair
if we're gonna do
enough.
a
Yeah, wait,
discrete
how
section.
did you? Yeah, what do you think of how they handled Val Kilmer?
Okay, at first, before it was revealed that he had cancer and they were just texting, I was like, why am I looking at a slow ass text conversation right now? Why doesn't he just call him?
Yeah.
Later on, they made sense. It hurt to talk, so they wouldn't have had calls. But
Well, have you,
that kind of pissed me off.
on like a meta element, did you guys know how hard Val Kilmer's had it for the last couple of years?
Wait, is he actually sick?
I had no
he
idea.
had a tracheotomy or what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea what that
He
until just
actually
now.
had throat cancer and he can't speak.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I've seen like photos of him, and it's like one of those things where it's like it's hard to see that happened to someone, and so I was like,
Like a Bruce Willis thing.
I just thought he wasn't going to be in the movie. I thought it was
Yeah.
just going to be the text, and I think I loved what they did. I thought it was very tasteful.
Yeah, it was.
It was very sweet.
I totally thought it worked, and I thought that it was just a movie thing.
Totally.
And I was going to ask your, like, hey, what's your opinion on them just not talking to each other and having this, he has to read off the screen thing. I thought that was really original. But okay.
Yeah,
But it
I was
really-
like, what's going on here? And I Googled it in the theater because I was like,
You son of a bitch.
why? Why?
Whatever. You go to
You always
Lat-
get mad at me, but you've never been in this landmark theater. You can't see my phone.
I tried it.
From upstairs?
I tried it at a different theater, and I was like, this is going to annoy people. I can't do it.
yeah, no, I hide it. I put it
know,
up
your
close to my body, and
Body's longer than mine. And the chairs are huge, right? They're like
yeah,
bigger
they're big
recliners.
giant chairs in the landmark.
Yeah.
And you're in the
pretty sick.
back seat, the back row.
That's why I tried. In this one, I wasn't, but I was like
You
3 rows in
bastard.
front of the next people. It was all good. Don't worry,
Three
James.
rows in front of the next people.
Yeah, there was like very little people.
basically on top
Yeah, it's
of you.
funny. The
Not
text
landmark.
conversation sort of reminded me a little bit of the rocks in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's weird because it just hits different. Because it's very simple. It's just like a couple words. But when he says like you need to let go and it stays on screen and then Maverick kind of delivers a little mini monologue.
It does
and he-
hit differently,
and he
doesn't
just
it?
like points at it again. I think it just it hits like a different part of your heart, and it really worked. And for me, knowing that like Val Kilmer can't speak, I don't know, it just like really affected me. Like that might have been the part of the movie that affected me the most in a positive way.
I like the comic relief that ends it too.
Oh yeah. Who's the better pilot?
Like let's not ruin this moment.
Yeah, this is a nice moment. Listen. Yeah, that was good. I didn't find myself getting like emotional at all in the movie. I just had a good time. I was in a good mood.
Yeah.
It was fun, but
I was fist pumpy. I was very
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
When Hangman comes in and blows it up,
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
yeah. I had some fist pumping moments, but I wasn't like, oh man, I'm really feeling like a positive emotion here right now. You know?
I thought you would have cried.
Really?
cried.
I had there's a couple moments where I was
This
like,
is the cheesiest movie I've ever seen in my life.
"Yeah, but you love fraternity." When all the guys are
I
hugging at
do,
the end,
I
like,
do.
"Yeah, we did
and
it."
I think that's what made me notice it even more, that I wasn't really affected that much, because I was like, this is something that would affect me, but it's not. And I think that's just because like the movie is so upfront about it being like, this is an all-American good time, yay, America, boo, bad guys that we don't know
Yeah,
who are actually fighting.
literal American
Yeah.
flag backdrop.
I wrote down, I'm like,
Yeah.
I know it's cringe, but I have to say it's kind of weird just to have the one mission be like ensuring American neo-imperialism. Like we're just like making sure that our
Western, not American.
hegemony is still good
It
to
was
go.
to
but-
protect Europe.
yeah, and again, I'm pro NATO, you know, but it's like a, but it was just kind of weird to have this like faceless, nameless enemy
That was super weird.
that are flying Russian fighters.
It felt very international market conscious
Yeah.
to me. They're flying Russian fighters, so
Yeah.
you could say like maybe they're
But
Russian.
Russia has exported the Su-57 to other countries, but
That's
like, yeah, it was just kind of.
yeah.
I like
But at the
that.
same time, it's like it's almost like for a movie like this, we'd prefer, which is why it makes sense. We'd prefer to not know who the bad guys are, because then you're thinking about politics. Then you're thinking about all these
Well,
things,
I was
and you
wondering
don't want to think about
too,
it.
because it's a Russian fighter.
Just
Like,
make
did-
it Russians.
Well,
Come
no,
on.
I was wondering if
Well,
maybe
it's clearly not Russia. It would
It's
be like
Putin.
a
He's
Baltic-
in the plane. Putin is in the plane. He takes a helmet. No one knows my symbols.
We need a fan edit.
But I was wondering if maybe Russia was name checked at some point, and because of the invasion to of the Ukraine, they're like, let's just not.
I doubt it. I doubt they ever.
Well, it wouldn't be Russia because it's a uranium enrichment plant, which like Russia already has nukes,
That's
so it
fair.
would be like another state.
Iran.
Yeah.
It was shot in Washington though.
Wait, does Iran have
Oh, really?
nukes now?
I don't know.
Oh, the snowy part?
Yeah.
That was cool. They switched up the terrain to make it feel different for the final
Cool.
battle.
Yeah, are we at the final sequence? Because that fucking final sequence is so sick.
It's
The point.
great.
Oh, go ahead. I'll come in later with this.
No, I like I had previously mentioned, knowing every detail of the mission and then seeing it play out, but with like kind of like little extra modifiers because it's real. Like they've had this virtual course they've had to fly out. Now there's real mountains.
Yeah.
They knew
You're
there was
really
the
like you're agonizing over the minutia at that point, right?
Totally.
Like, can he go fast enough to make this turn? Will he make it through that bridge? What if it's different than what they trained?
Totally. And every shot of those like missiles that they have to fly under, it's so like, oh man, are they going to be
Scary.
able to do it? It's so menacing. And then like they hit the crater thing. Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
man. It's so
Yeah, because
so
before
exciting.
they were just going, I'm at this point in our virtual canyon, I have to pull up just in the air. There's nothing in front of them. There was no physical barrier in front of them in the training.
Yeah.
Now there's an actual hillside there,
I love
right?
the shot where like Maverick is kicking up the snow from the mountain. And it's like obscuring the other pilot's view. For a second, I thought that was going to be an issue.
Totally.
Yeah, especially because in the first movie, they get washed out. It's like what? Not rotor wash. That's a helicopter thing. Jet wash from the other jet that disturbs the air, that makes them crash, and that's why Goose ultimately dies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So I was triggered from that.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it was a good moment of tension.
When Maverick gets shot down there, I literally was going through all the contingencies in my head and I thought, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I do not know which way they're going to take this movie. If he died like that right now, that could be it.
Right.
Like, they could go that way.
Yeah.
He,
I knew he
They had
wasn't
spent
dead.
so much time having
There's no
him.
way.
he produced this movie. Tom Cruise would never do that to
Tom
himself.
Cruise, yeah. Tom Cruise will always make himself the hero that wins in the end. But I like that the movie invested a bunch of time into making him say his goodbyes, because there was a part of my brain that was like, well, maybe
Yeah.
the movie ends with like just the young people stepping up or something.
Yeah.
And they kind of set it up because even early in the movie, he kind of assumes that he's going to be on the mission before they tell him he's just a trainer. And so if he had died, I would have seen that as like foreshadowing. Like it was kind of all set up.
If he had
That
died, when?
It died in the mission because it seemed like he already took for granted that he was going to be flying.
Oh, I see. Right,
and that it was
sorry.
possible, and that was just going to end his career in service.
It was super unexpected to me that the movie had just like this a little extra coda tagged on, because I'm like, oh wow, they pulled off the mission. They're going to go back. Like there'll be one more dog fight and then they'll make it back. But like he's on the ground, and I was like, wait, like is there going to be like a he's captured section, or like
He has
he's
to
like a
fight
prisoner
wolves?
of war, like, or I was like, is he gonna have to like fire a gun? And I was like, please don't have like fire a gun. That would have felt off. But I like that they.
I definitely was feeling the same way as you were. I'm like, whoa, we are exiting Top Gun land. This is dangerous.
Now this is like a straight up war movie. Like it's funny
behind
that it
enemy
doesn't.
lines suddenly.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's funny that the movie doesn't really feel like a war movie.
No.
It feels like, you know, it's like a sports movie. It's more of a sports
Totally.
movie than
That's how they saw. That's how Tony Scott saw the first one, and the screenwriter. That's
You know,
why there's locker room scenes in the
Right.
first movie, because
As
there's no
I'm
locker
saying
rooms in
this-
Top Gun.
As I'm saying this, I feel like I'm like, oh wait, have I seen an article talking about how Top Gun is a sports movie and not a war movie? And I think I have.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's where
why-
that came from.
They have that trophy, and Iceman and Maverick are both vying to get this trophy at Top
Right.
Gun, but at the real Top Gun, which exists, there's no trophy and shit.
Yeah.
It's not about the individual. It's all about teamwork.
Yeah, and I had a moment where I was like, these guys are trying really, really hard to be at like the top of the leaderboard, to be like the best player on the team. But I'm like, if you win, you're going to go and maybe die. So it's like, maybe you want to not try so hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's like the weasel in me talking, but like, you know, they signed up to be fighter pilots going into
Yeah,
dangerous
they have
situations
mental
anyways.
programming to want to die as heroes.
Right, they've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
MK Ultra.
But fortunately, they're not on the ground for long. They basically just run right to a plane.
Yep.
And I thought that was such good fan service.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
it's an F-14. Like, you're like, yeah.
And then even the fact that Rooster has to take Goose's seat.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that coming. And I was like,
Yeah.
that is perfect.
And then it's such an epic dogfight. Like I love that
it's so
whole
good.
build up when it's like, okay, are they going to discover us? Like, do they know? And then they do the sign thing. It's like comedic build up. But then it was like, it's go time. And he just starts firing on the one ship, and then they're fighting, and like, he's just so outmatched.
Yeah.
But he's just the best fucking pilot. I'm going to say it again. This movie is fucking exhilarating.
It's exhilarating, man.
Dogfights can be kind of like pretty straightforward things where it's just like, okay, oh, he's on my tail. Okay, whoops. Okay, I looped around and I got him. All right, let's keep going. But the way that this movie is able to make each dogfight feel like there's something wrong. There's some like weird obstacle that they have to get over. that isn't just like a normal like, oh, I'm out of missiles. It's like, no, we're in a fucking F-14 Tomcat. We don't stand a chance.
Yeah,
And there's 300 breakers back here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never sat back there.
Exactly. That's perfect.
Yeah, that was all good stuff.
The one problem that I had with this ending scene, the whole like end arc battle thing, is the weird editing. Where we see, okay, so Maverick gets shot down, the fighters are returning, they're like, oh, we have to go back, no, you can't go back, blah, 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 and it just kind of like zooms into Rooster's face, and then it cuts to black, and then we're on Maverick. And I was like, what? And then it shows that, oh, okay, Rooster came back to save you, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, this is so weird because we've been... Huh?
No, he's talking about when Rooster comes back to save him.
there.
Yeah,
okay.
and then Rooster comes and blows up the helicopter, and then he gets shot down. But I was like, wouldn't this have been so much better if we saw Rooster go through this like decision to be like, no, I'm going back or whatever. I just felt like it was kind of like, we just kind of like cut out one of the most important parts of the movie, which is Rooster.
Like an emotional part of the movie for the character.
Yeah, part of his character is kind of being cautious, right? Like Hangman and Maverick are just kind of like, hey, we're the best. We're going boom, boom, boom. You know, like we don't think, just do. And Rooster is a thinker, you know. He's like, hold on, no, he's going slow in the beginning, and then they have to tell him, don't think, just do, and then he speeds up. It's like that's part of his character, and so that would like solidify the arc for him to be like, no, this is what I have to do, even though it's scary, you know.
So they made the decision to sacrifice that in order to gain a surprise.
Yeah,
but it wasn't really that much of a surprise. It's like we know that he did it.
Yeah, as soon as he wakes up, you know he's not dead.
Yeah,
you're like, okay,
and we know that Rooster's probably coming back, or someone's coming back. It's not gonna be Hangman. I don't know.
I like when they met up in the forest.
Yeah,
and he's like, you told me to do that.
Yeah.
That's a good moment.
I wanted Tom Cruise to reply, well, that was stupid.
I saved your life. No, I saved your life, so you wouldn't have to save my life.
That was good.
Even the beginning of that scene when he just runs up to him, you're like, oh, he's gonna give him a hug, and he just shoves him to the ground.
He ran for far too long in that flight suit. Although, I mean, it's movies. He can't just be walking around and be boring. But I was just like, you're running in the snow with all that gear. You're gonna last like 20 seconds.
Yeah, and it's Tom Cruise. He's in the shape of his life at all moments.
Yeah.
He will never die.
We briefly mentioned that like the pilots trained for this. One thing that I think is really cool is that he designed the training for them. So he specifically designed this 3-month program. I think that's a cool little meta thing where it's
wait,
like,
who did?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise designed
Tom
the
Cruise
training?
was not an aviator before being in Top Gun. And when he made that movie, that was what kicked off his now lifelong interest in aviation. And since then, he has a commercial pilot's license. He can do fixed wing. He can do helicopters.
Yeah, he flies the helicopter in Mission Impossible 6.
Oh, wow.
Which we will have to fucking cover at some point. I love that movie.
We'll talk about that in Now Playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty bad. So then
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He designed the training for these people.
But like the training in real life?
Yeah.
Or he designed like the fictional training thing that they
No,
did?
the actors.
real life training, which is a cool little meta thing because he's their trainer in the movie.
Oh, okay. So the training the actors have to do in order to act as pilots.
Well, like the underwater rescue, the actually going through planes. And
okay, gotcha.
There's all these anecdotes and stuff of them like having to like do a controlled stall and stuff.
Right.
Well, there's some stuff that they would have had to do just because that was like the rules, right? Like just like in the first movie, it's like you can't come in here unless you're able to do this.
They've got to have some sort of like autopilot, like remote control system. Do they not on F-18s? Maybe probably not on F-18s because they're old. But like
no idea, bro.
when that one Phoenix and Bob lose control and they're like spinning downwards and they're like, oh no, I'm like, there's got to be some sort of. Oh no, wait, it's the guy who got knocked unconscious. I think it's Payback.
Oh yeah.
He gets knocked unconscious and then I'm like,
Oh
no, he's gonna crash if he doesn't wake up. I'm like, did they not? They must have some sort of remote.
You'd think so. I don't know.
That was cool how they got him out of that by missile locking on him to make more alarms go off.
Yeah, that was good.
I felt like Phoenix was going to be a way bigger character. Ultimately, I feel like
she was
almost
in the
tokenistic.
synopsis.
She was like tokenistic in this movie. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, this
you
girl
have to
there.
have a woman.
We got some like Latinx people. We got some black. Because
Why is it always? It's always a Latina woman in this like military situation.
They were all white guys. Yeah, they're tougher, I guess. Hey, it's like Michelle Rodriguez.
It's such a weird. It's a weird trope
for sure.
But I guess I felt that way even more because of the marketing. Like I saw Tom Cruise and the actor who plays Phoenix on a late night TV show.
Oh.
So I thought like, oh, cool. I thought she was going to be one of the main characters and not this Miles Teller.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of cutscene. Apparently in this
Monica Barbaro. Sorry, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of cutscenes. Apparently they mostly for the plane stuff.
like deleted scenes.
Deleted scenes. They shot more footage for this movie than they did for the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What?
Yeah, and so
Okay. I mean, like hours of footage?
Yeah.
Is that because there's 6 cameras in each cockpit?
I don't know what they're measuring. I'm sure that's a factor in it. But I'm guessing that if this movie feels to me like there's a lot of like fraternization scenes that are just kind of like cut, and there's like some big actors that are just kind of extras. Like one of the main characters in The Good Place.
Oh yeah, Manny Jacinto.
Yeah, he's just like a random dude.
I just saw that he was in here. I was like, what the heck?
In the background.
He's
Jason Mendoza in The Good Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who is he in this movie?
He's just one of the like 12 people, and you see him in a close-up, like a medium shot one time, and then he's in the background for the rest of the movie. And he's like a pretty well-known person because of The Good Place.
Yeah, and he's a great actor.
He's
Mendoza.
Simpsons. Deep
Also,
cut.
I mean, I haven't mentioned Glenn Powell yet, but I love this guy.
I love
He
him.
is so fucking hilarious in everything he does. But like, he's less.
That's Hangman?
Yeah.
What a douche.
I know. He's less funny in this. He's in like what's that movie?
Everybody wants some.
What's the comedy, the murder mystery comedy? Did you see that? Why can't I remember what it's called? Anyway,
Knives In.
You click on his name.
Jamie
and
Lee
let us
Curtis
know.
is in it. He is hilarious in almost everything that I've seen him in, and in this one he's less funny and he's just kind of an ass.
I like him though, and I think he's
got that good like.
Well,
I'm a smarmy son of a bitch.
He's the perfect mirror to young Maverick.
He is
Yes.
young Maverick. He's the analog of like who Maverick was.
And the fact that he's such an asshole to Goose, and it's just it works to kind of play through some of the dynamics that you have to, and then even when he sees Rooster on the bridge of the ship, and he's just like, give him hell, and like it's a moment of like, okay, he's grown a little bit, he's willing to take a back seat, but then he still gets his moment, and
Right.
like you can tell he's so pumped, but
Yeah.
you're pumped as an audience because he saved the day.
Yeah.
It's honestly like this movie is just from Iceman's perspective because and Maverick saves his tail at the end. Because that's what Hangman is. Like Hangman comes in second. He gets to high five the main character at the end on the deck of the ship. They have that little moment together. It's exactly
Yeah,
I didn't think about
Maverick.
that.
So Maverick is Iceman and Hangman is Maverick.
Who's Maverick in this one?
Well, because Iceman was like the best pilot, and he had like a rivalry with Maverick, right?
Yeah.
And then they were friends. Well, I guess it's like Rooster is supposed to be like Maverick.
It's a little messy.
Anyways, whatever. They're all just crazy pilot
But it
guys.
definitely works that Hangman gets to be.
Why
the
do you think
Maverick.
they just needed him to be kind of a deplorable Chad? Does that make the payoff better when he saves you?
Yes, 100%.
And I think he just needed a little mini arc that's really clear and delineated, and that doesn't take too much screen time, and
Yeah.
he does that.
It's annoying
didn't
though
like
because
his-
it's like he really did not have to do that. Like bring up the fact that like, oh yeah, well Maverick, killed his dad, and that's probably why you're blah blah blah. And he's just like, why are you trying to egg him on like that? What's the point? Just to
Yeah.
be an ass. There's no point. He doesn't gain anything.
Just more conflict for the movie
Yeah.
in the middle section. That sucks.
Yeah.
But you knew he was gonna come back into the fight. Like, not only he's like he's up to help. He's on the bench. He's like in the cockpit, like engines are idling. He's like ready to fly. He's gonna come back. I take issue with his little quip when he did save their asses, though.
What did he say?
I forget what he said. But
For savior.
yeah, he was being smarmy and snarky still, and I was like, I wish he would have just been a little like.
Wait, really?
I liked it.
I thought that was like totally in character.
I
It works.
guess it was. I just thought it would have been better if he was a little more like.
Ladies and gentlemen,
"We
this
did
is
it,
your
guys."
savior speaking. Yeah.
I guess from his perspective, it's like it wasn't as difficult, but from their perspective, it was more harrowing. So
You just killed a man. This is your savior.
a maskless,
Well,
countryless.
That's his whole thing. He's
NPC.
just like, he's never bothered, He's apparently gotten people killed and it doesn't really weigh on his conscience at all. He's just chilling. He's a psychopath is what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, yeah, probably tracks that they're probably overrepresented at Top Gun.
Do you guys? One of my problems with this movie is that at the beginning of the movie, I was like, Tom Cruise better not fucking fly this mission, and he flies this.
Oh, really?
And then he flies the mission.
I actually didn't see that coming for some reason.
And because I thought like the arc was gonna be like he has to learn to hand off control and like grow in that way. But when it kind of happened, I was like, okay, they've earned it. Like the fact that when he runs the course without permission, it doesn't feel like it's an ego thing. It feels like this is my only thing I
It's
can
like
do.
no one can do it except
And
me.
then of course they pick him. He's the only person that can do it. And I was like, okay, fine. Like
Yeah.
you made it make sense movie without it being super shitty.
I wonder if that's why because this movie is technically it would fit into this like legacy sequel genre that we are talking about with like, you know, the new Star Wars and the new Indiana Jones, and we're bringing these franchises back. We have the old actors here, but they're maybe not the main characters. They're supporting characters. He's the main character. Yeah. This is 100% just sequel to Top Gun. It's Maverick is the protagonist again. Rooster is there too, and he goes through an arc, but I don't think Rooster is the protagonist. 100% Maverick is the protagonist, and so if he didn't go through and like do the mission himself, I feel like we would have the scenario in which he has to give control to someone else and have that be his arc if he wasn't the main character of the movie. If it was actually Rooster's story and not Maverick's story. But this is just Maverick's story.
Yeah. But
it's pretty close. I think it's a pretty close split. I mean, in terms of like who changes the most.
But I think of whose perspective you're experiencing.
It's definitely his perspective. It's definitely all the camera time.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, but so he's definitely the main character, but is he the protagonist? We
ride with Maverick for way more of the movie.
Ride or die.
Than we do with I mean, I don't
but he doesn't change. He's kind of an iconic character.
But he does change. He actually progresses for the first time. Like we were talking about before, he's been stuck his entire life, and now he's like accepted things and moving on.
Yeah.
He's made peace with these conflicts that he had.
Yeah. Big hit pick. When the 4 jets are flying and then they fire the missiles and they fly past. That shot's so sick.
That's a cool shot. And you're just like,
sure. The weight of what's happening really hit me in that moment. I'm like, there is no turning back.
Right.
Like, I think someone even says that. They're like, well, there's no turning
missiles
back.
Are in
missiles
the air.
are in the air.
That sounded like John Hamm. Well, there's no turning back now.
Nitpick. How old is Rooster? We're like 36 years since the first one. He was at least like 6 in the first one. This guy's like in his 40s. I'm pretty sure he looks like he's 26, 28 maybe.
Maybe I would guess 30 maybe.
Wait, how old was he in the first one? He wasn't 6.
He was like a toddler, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked like he was
even
like
if he's
3
a
or
toddler,
4.
he's 39.
39.
This movie's like 36 years.
30 years. I thought it was just
4. It says he's 4 years old when his father died. Let's look up when his Top Gun.
The synopsis just 86? Said over 3 decades.
So that's 42, right? If he was 4...
3 decades is 42 years?
42 years old.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
So yeah, this...
Wait, how many years has it been officially?
Well, it's set... The movie is 86, and he was 4. So 82,
he
so
was
it'd be 40. So it'd be 40. And I bet Miles Teller's is 40. He's one of those people that has like a boy face.
Wait, but is this supposed to be happening in 2022?
I don't know.
It doesn't really matter.
He's 35.
Sure.
Yeah.
I figured he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a nitpick. Oh, sort of a larger nitpick, I guess. Oh wait, but well, as long as we're talking about cool shots, the shot where
set 36 years after his predecessor, so he'd be 40. Okay.
All right. This dude is 100% not 40. I mean, it's Miles Teller. How old is Miles Teller?
35.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell the 5-year difference. The shot where they are chasing, they managed to get behind the second Su-57, and then the Su-57 pulls off this crazy maneuver where it just goes, woo, and it does sort of the beginning of the Cobra maneuver where it gets the resistance, but then it also like spins.
That's a Cobra Kai.
It changes its yaw as it's going.
And I like that both of them are really impressed too.
Yeah, and they're both like, what the hell was that? Yeah. And it's the same thing the audience is feeling because we're like, that looked fucking cool.
Yeah.
Nice job, Russia.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
Nitpick that they're so cavalier with those fucking bullets until it's like they're almost out. I'm like, man, you guys should have been a little more careful. Early on, they're just like, firing everywhere.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I do appreciate how he kind of like does it in bursts, and then we like get that there is like, okay, we're running out. It's not just like, oh, whoopsie, it's all gone. It's like we have the chunks. The editing, I feel like all of the editing in the Penny sequences is weird. Like, first, when she like leaves the door open for him.
She keeps her hand in her pocket? What's up with that?
Why is the hand in the pocket?
The second time. She always has her hand in her pocket when she enters her house.
So then he's like, huh. And then he goes in, and the editing there is so weird. because I'm like, I don't want to see this. Like, no matter what you say, I'm just like, I'm not interested in this. But then it just cuts, and I'm like, I thought there was gonna be sort of a sex scene, but there's not. She lies down, and then they kiss, and then it cuts right to them like talking
post-coital.
That was weird.
He's topless,
and they're just like reminiscing. They're like, yeah, remember when we did it?
I agree, that was weird.
The editing was super weird, and then again, at the end when he shows up and he like I guess he's showing up to tell her that he's going on the mission. He's wearing his nice white suit and everything. I'm like, why is he wearing the nice white suit? First of all, and B, there's no dialogue there. I think that. Is there any dialogue?
Nope.
No.
See,
he just kind of goes and whispers in her ear, and then they like walk outside, and it's all just like a music montage.
I actually really like the way they do that visually, because I don't need to hear him tell her like I'm going away, and she's like, "How long will it be? I don't know." Like I don't need that stuff. I think visually it's just like it's more concise and it leaves more room for my brain to be like to breathe.
I mean, I guess like if we look at the type of dialogue that this movie has. That's what we would get.
Yes.
I feel like in my mind, I was like, you could have a good scene here. You could write some good dialogue and have it not be exactly what people are expecting.
But not this movie.
But yeah, in this movie, it would 100% just be like, I have to go, what, why, no.
Yeah.
Cheese.
And daughter runs in, don't break my mama's heart!
Don't break my
I think that's it for my notes.
All right, everybody. Now playing. Now playing. This is the segment where we talk about stuff we're like watching and listening to and experiencing lately.
Well, I
What's on your
watched the
plate?
first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan, but we're
can't
talking
talk
about that
about it.
next
Yeah.
week.
No
Same.
spoilers for that. I haven't seen them yet.
Okay.
I started Stranger Things. I'm 3 episodes in.
Oh,
It's good. I'm excited.
I'm an episode and a half.
That's my favorite half episode.
The thing that struck me so far is they're like really leaning into the horror as the body horror thing.
So much more like a horror movie.
Yeah, so
I
like-
kind of dig it. I don't like horror stuff, but it's working for me in this.
I don't know. I like.
To me, it's like one of those like the kids are growing up.
Yeah.
So the youngest stories now, like their actors are 18, their characters are like 16.
Sure.
I guess no, they're first year high school. That's 13,
Yeah.
13, 14.
or second year high
Or
school?
high school being grade 10 is 15.
I don't know. But I feel like what went well with some of the earlier Stranger Things seasons is the fact that they didn't go right into the crazy interdimensional stuff right away. They were like, okay, some kind of weird stuff's going on, but we didn't have like people's faces exploding in episode 1, you know? It's like we kind of like
Spoilers.
no, that does not happen. I'm saying as an example.
Oh, it doesn't happen? That's a spoiler.
Okay. As an example of things that made it work well for me is like, okay, we can get into some crazy, interdimensional stuff and like people getting their intestines ripped out and stuff. Let's get to that at the end or like as we kind of ramp up.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like.
Yeah, I guess
it's
we
a
have to
little
be
too much.
spoiler free because maybe we'll have a bigger discussion at the end of the season.
I've only seen episode 1.5, so
I think they're doing a good job amping up the storytelling quality because they've always had a good hook. And then the second season they tried to go drama and it didn't work. The third season they went back to kind of the more like 80s fun romp, and I think it really worked.
That's what we need.
And this, they've taken that, but they're going more like straight up, like more horror.
Right.
And I like it. I think what they're doing with the characters is good. I think they're doing like good little visual like moments that are really telling the story. I don't like the style, like the color palette's changed. I don't know if they changed cameras or if they purposely made it like toned it down, but I liked the oversaturated 80s like fun vibe.
Right.
And this now it has like a much more dreary color palette.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. But I like all the new characters that are in there. I'm digging it. I would say like if
there's
you like
some
Stranger
funny-
Things so far, it seems worth it.
Yeah.
How about that Mission Impossible trailer?
Yeah, let's talk
Interesting
about that.
choice because there's no Foley, or it's all Foley. There's no, the trailer is like all music and no sound effects of the car chases you're looking at. You're just hearing the song and seeing the visuals.
Yeah, it's sort of like artsy.
No Foley, I should say.
I'm beyond excited for that movie. I love the Mission Impossible 4, 5, 6.
It looked basic to me, but
But I
I'm not a
agree.
huge
No,
fan.
that trailer did nothing for me. And until like kind of the end where they started showing more of the stunts and stuff, I found the trailer kind of a snooze.
I want to know what people want for us on the run up to that. When's that movie coming out?
Next year.
Oh, okay, we got time.
we got time.
We should do probably like 2 or 3 of those movies.
I think we should just do 4, 5, 6. Because like one is the original, but it's not the best. 2 sucks. Some people like 3, but it's kind of the most dated one. And 4, 5, 6 is like a series. Like they kind of rebooted and then started the push. And so those ones are like clearly sequels
Casino
to each
Royale
other.
style.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think those are the best ones.
Did you know that the guy in the trailer is from the first one?
Which one? Ving Rhames?
No, the bad guy from the first Mission Impossible is back in this one. Or
I
like,
didn't see him.
Or he was like
I
a
didn't
former Mission Impossible.
Oh, the guy's talking?
What's the agency called?
Impossible Task Force?
What?
ITF.
That's so funny.
Is that serious?
It's something like that.
Holy cow.
It's funny that because this franchise has it originally started with this kind of goofy spy TV show, right? Where they're it's case of the week, oh, there's a bad guy, we're taking him down. And now it's into this Avengers
Impossible
level
Mission Force, IMF.
Impossible Mission Force, yeah, which is just ridiculous.
But yeah, it was like a
IMF,
60s.
it sounds like a gastrointestinal.
It's a
I feel like
60s
they
element.
never call it Impossible Mission Force. They always call it IMF, which makes me think of monetary fund or something,
But
which is
the
way less scary.
Highlight of the trailer.
Or is it?
Yeah, my absolute favorite thing about that trailer is there's not a Jeremy Renner to be seen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God.
Was he part of the thing?
He was in 4
5?
and 5, I think. He was introduced in 4, but I think he was also in 5, and I don't think he was in 6, but who cares?
I feel like this franchise is the biggest movie franchise that no one actually really cares about.
David
I know
does.
you do.
But not really.
but
If there was never another one, I wouldn't be like, damn it.
But they've made so many of them, so clearly people go and see them. Clearly they do well. Clearly people want to see more. There's hype when a trailer releases, but in between that, you never see anything about it.
It's been so long.
Yeah, it doesn't have a ton of cachet.
It's not like Fast
no one
and-
has a poster on their wall or nothing.
Fast and Furious, there's 12 movies or something crazy, and people talk about Fast and Furious all the time. There's memes. There's no memes about IMF.
Yeah, but you're making fun of it though. Family.
Exactly, but there's no
It's self-serious.
It's just such a weird. It's a weird. It's an interesting.
7 movies over 26 years. That's a slow pace for a big franchise.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of why it works.
I guess so.
Because we're not I'm not tired of Mission Impossible movies. Every time one comes out, I'm like, what the fuck did he do this time? What stupid death-defying
Damn it,
stunt
Ethan!
did he do? Yeah.
But it's almost like a movie comes out, people talk about it being good, and then in the intervening years, everyone just kind of forgets what it is. And then when it comes back, they're like, "Oh, another Mission Impossible movie. That's a thing."
I mean, I'm not the best example. I can tell you what happens in all
Right,
of them.
of course.
Can you hum the theme song right now?
No.
That's X-Men. I can.
No, it's
Oh yeah, there it is. I just kept thinking of James Bond.
But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like the way people remember them are which stunt happened.
How long was his hair?
Yeah, that's 2. He had the bad hair. But yeah, it's
That's great hair.
Okay, so what's 2? Oh, it's when he's rock climbing
Orange
in
motorcycle.
the motorcycle. What's 4? Oh, the Burj Khalifa. What's 5? Oh, he takes off on the plane. What's 3? Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay. All right, guys. I've heard enough of your talking.
Yeah, I've heard enough.
Let's go home.
I think I have enough to make my final decision
On what?
to whether to join the Air Force,
Oh,
It is a propaganda
The Navy,
movie.
I
you'll be
mean.
that's for
leaving
sure.
us.
the Navy.
You can tweet at us at TJMPod. You can email us hello@therejustmovies.com, or you can leave us alone.
Or you can try your hand at the test course, baby. See if you survive.
What's your call sign? First thing that comes to your mind.
Tech news.
Tech news. Okay, what about you?
Obviously-
Pullman.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right. Bye.
See you later.